The main reasons for the rising construction costs in Australia, such as global instability, supply chain disruptions, labor shortages, and increased demand. One of the main reasons for the rising construction costs in Australia is the global instability caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on trade, supply chains, and consumer confidence. The pandemic has disrupted the availability and affordability of many building materials, such as timber, steel, concrete, and plasterboard, which have seen significant price increases in the past year. For example, timber prices have risen by more than 50% since March 2021 due to reduced supply from overseas and increased demand from domestic housing construction. Steel prices have also surged by more than 40% in the same period due to higher global demand and reduced production capacity. Another reason for the rising construction costs in Australia is the supply chain disruptions that have affected the delivery and distribution of building materials and equipment. The pandemic has caused delays and bottlenecks in sea freight, road transport, and warehousing, which have increased the cost and time of moving goods across borders and within Australia. Additionally, some suppliers have faced higher costs of fuel, electricity, and labor, which they have passed on to their customers. These factors have reduced the reliability and efficiency of the supply chain and increased the risk of project delays and cost overruns. A third reason for the rising construction costs in Australia is the labor shortage that has affected the availability and quality of skilled workers in the construction industry. The pandemic has restricted the inflow of migrant workers and interstate workers, who have traditionally filled many roles in this sector. Moreover, some workers have left the industry due to health concerns, reduced income, or career changes. This has created a skills gap and a wage pressure in the market, as builders compete for a limited pool of workers. The labor shortage has also impacted the productivity and quality of workmanship, which can lead to rework, defects, and disputes. A fourth reason for the rising construction costs in Australia is the increased demand for residential construction, especially detached houses and low-rise apartments. The pandemic has stimulated the demand for housing through various factors, such as low interest rates, government incentives, lifestyle changes, and household savings. This has resulted in a surge in dwelling approvals and commencements, which have reached record levels in 2021. The high demand for housing has put pressure on the supply of land, materials, and labor, which have driven up the prices of these inputs. The demand for housing has also outstripped the capacity of some builders and contractors, who have faced challenges in managing multiple projects simultaneously. The high construction costs in Australia are having a significant impact on the housing market, especially on medium and high-density developments such as apartments and townhouses. According to KPMG analysis, thousands of housing projects that have already gained planning approval are being put on hold or canceled by developers, mainly because of the rising cost of building materials, labor, and fuel. In Victoria, the number of dwellings with planning approval that have not started construction has almost doubled in the past year, reaching 10,500 by the end of March 2023. In New South Wales, the number of stalled dwellings has increased by 2,600 in the same period, reaching 16,400. These figures are comparable to the level seen in 2019, when the housing market was facing a higher vacancy rate and lower demand. About 3/4 of the approved but unconstructed dwellings in both states are apartments and townhouses. These types of developments are more affected by the high construction costs than detached houses because they require more complex and expensive inputs such as steel frames, concrete slabs, and lifts. They also face more uncertainty and risk due to longer construction times, planning delays, and changing consumer preferences. The average cost of building a detached house in Australia was $1,489.84 per square meter in 2018, but it has increased by 29% in Sydney and 32% in Melbourne since then. The average cost of building an apartment was $2,227.28 per square meter in 2018, but it has likely risen even more due to the global supply chain disruptions and commodity price hikes caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and geopolitical tensions. The high construction costs are not only affecting the supply of new housing, but also the affordability and quality of existing housing. Developers are passing on some of the increased costs to buyers, resulting in higher prices for new homes. They are also reducing the size and amenity of new dwellings to save on costs, compromising the livability and sustainability of new housing. Some developers are opting for detached housing projects instead of medium and high-density ones, because they offer more profit margin and less uncertainty. The high construction costs are therefore posing a serious challenge for the housing market in Australia, especially for those who are looking for more affordable and diverse housing options such as apartments and townhouses. The government needs to address this issue by providing more support and incentives for developers to build more medium and high-density housing projects, as well as ensuring that the planning system is efficient and flexible enough to accommodate changing market conditions.